When I say, who's the master? You say,
What's up, guys? Showing up the King here, and I'm here to do my review for Avatar Legend of Korra Book 3, Episodes 6 and 7. Now, it looks like there's developed a pattern at this point, and we now know that Nickelodeon is running through these episodes like wildfire, but you know what? I'm just going to take it all in and just enjoy every minute of it. Now, first we're going to talk about Episode 6, which was almost a conclusion of the Beifong and the Beifong situation. So we have Lin and we have Sue, and essentially we still have Lin in her funk after having an argument with Korra and yelling at Opal. Now, it looks like one of Sue's admins or one of her closest advisors suggests that Lin go see this acupuncturist, which can kind of help her with her stress, because you can clearly see Lin was breaking out into a sweat. Looks like she was having a stroke, and the guy simply just told her, hey, if you don't get this checked out, you might have some problems and you could die. So essentially Lin goes and gets into this deep dark trance, and we get a flashback. Now, in this flashback, there are a lot of great things, but what I want to focus on is essentially us getting our first real view of Toph, since since the new series has started. We've already seen like photos and statues of her, but we haven't actually seen her talk or actually seen what she looks like. And I liked the fact they showed her. I'm just a little weird because I wish they would have shown her more. Um, I love Toph. I loved her from the last series, and I wish we can figure out where she is. And I'm almost afraid now that this kind of Linsu drama is over. We won't get a chance to see Toph, but here's hoping. So Toph is shown in the flashbacks and scolding both Lin and Sue, mostly Lin, because Sue was actually a bad seed, so to speak. She was hanging out with the bad crowds and doing and not going to school, while on the other hand, Lin was the one that was trying to be so much like Toph that she joined the actual Republic City Police Department. She's basically trying to follow behind her mother's footsteps to be like her mother. And we all know that we always end up failing when we try to be like our parents. We are brought up to do the right thing and then make our own path. That's kind of what this episode was trying to teach. Now, I have to stop and pause and say that Toph was a bad mom. I mean, she worked like a dog. She only cared about her reputation, and she essentially just let her kids run amok. Not really great for being a parent, but it looks like it was almost like Lin had to step up and be Sue's mom as well. So that's kind of why Sue and them had that friction going on, because Sue didn't feel like she needed to listen to Toph, and then Lin felt like she should have been more responsible, and back and forth and back and forth. It's like a recipe for disaster. But I digress. Anyway, so we also get another big reveal in this flashback that Sue is actually the one who gave Lin the two welt scratches on the side of her face that we've seen since she's been introduced. And we learned that during one of Lin's actual arrests, that it was Sue that was driving the getaway car with her two knucklehead friends. Lin shoots the little wire, Sue cuts it, it slips back and smacks her in the face. That's how she ends up getting the scar. So that's kind of like another major tipping point. And I think at that point when Toph and Lin and Sue were all in a room and Toph ended up banishing Sue from Republic City, that's kind of what took Lin over the edge and kind of grew that hatred. Now, after Toph, of course, gets this, I said Toph, after Lin gets her acupuncture therapy and wakes up and realizes how angry she is, she decides to take her time and go over and have a talk with Sue. And that talk with Sue ends up turning into our first actually metal bending, earth bending fight. So this is the first time we've seen a metal bend, two earth benders who could also metal bend fight each other directly and actually actively use both earth bending and as well as metal bending at the same time. And I have to admit, it was awesome. I just kind of felt like I saw myself at the table screaming, "Chick fight, chick fight, chick fight." I'm sorry, It kind of makes me look like a chauvinist, but whatever. I love seeing chicks fight. So anyway, they're battling it out. Korra and Bolin are on the sidelines, and Bolin's like, "Look, I know all about sibling fights. That's almost all you have." And I have a sister of my own. We used to fight all the time, so I kind of understood it. They both needed to get all the anger and stress off of their bodies by fighting. They did that, and Opal ends up coming in and breaking up the fight. Uh, Lynn passes out, sleeps for about 16 hours, and she kind of wakes up and turns into a whole new person almost. Her and her sister make up, yada yada yada. Opal is now ready to go train on the with Tenzin and the rest of the Airbenders. Now, one other thing did happen in this episode, and it's with Zahir and his group. I want to talk about Zahir for a second, and this might turn into a bit of a rant. So I appreciate how strong Zahir and his group is. They end up escaping Republic City, and that kind of makes sense. They have the Earthbender guy who can Earthbend and turn it to magma. I think that's awesome. We still got the Waterbender who has no arms, but she's a monster with her waterbending. We have Miss Combustion, and then we have Zahir, who is the Airbender. Now, the issue I have with Zahir is this guy's OP. I mean, I don't know about you. And again, I know that Tenzin said that anyone they can be one-on-one, they can be any bender. That's what they said. But you got to remember, Zahir was never a bender. When he actually inherited his airbending techniques, it just kind of happened. So how the hell did all of a sudden he just become this impossibly strong airbender? I mean, this guy's pulling off moves that even I've never seen Aang's do. And he's just like, even when in the last episode where he's pretending to be one of the new airbenders and he's going through the little spinning disc, I remember seeing Korra go through the same thing, and she was having a very difficult time. And Zahir just going through this thing like it's nothing, like anything. And he's even able to beat, Tenzin's sister in a fight. Again, I understand that we need to understand that he's a legitimate threat. I just wish they would have put a little bit more thought into developing him as a strong character when he just became an airbender. And to top it all off, towards the end of the episode, we see that Zahir and his group, after they already escaped Republic City, are looking for the Avatar. And you can clearly see Zahir in a meditative stance, and he opens his eyes and says they're with the metal benders, which goes to show you that he is actually spirit walking, just like Jinora. What? How the hell is Zahir spirit walking already? Now, I know a bunch of you will probably say, oh, he has whatever medallion he stole from Tenzin's office. That's probably what he read to, learn how to spirit walk. I don't believe that shit, because it was just some words. I understand how those words alone made you know how to spirit walk. But anyway, I hope they, at the very least, explain later on how he's developed those abilities so quickly, just to at least somehow justify it, because again, it's just a little bit disturbing. Now, that's all I have to really say about episode 6. Episode 7 was a little bit slower. This was mostly just a Rocky Balboa of the Earth Kingdom kind of episode. We had Tenzin there with the group of other airbenders, teaching them all these different moves. And, we learned in the very first season when Tenzin was trying to teach Korra how to airbend, his methods are not exactly effective, is probably the word I would like to use. He's actually a very much of a hard ass, I'd like to say, and that was even with Boomy's advice. Tenzin just doesn't have that what it takes to be. Well, he has what it takes to be an airbender and teach people how to airbend, but I think trying to turn them into air nomads is where the problem is. And if you guys actually watched my other videos, like episode 2 and 3, you kind of understand that finding out that you're airbender is already hard enough. But then to try to figure out that you got to become a vegetarian, you can't eat anything with a face, you got to shave your hair, you got to get tattoos, you got to follow and learn all the logic and knowledge from this one nation, it's probably very hard to take in. And again, all these people have families, they're hungry, they probably want to, you probably got some meat eaters there. Not everybody wants to be an airbender. You are an airbender, but that doesn't mean you want to follow that airbending philosophy. And I think ultimately that's probably what's going to happen. I don't think everyone's going to end up being that exact same type of airbender that Tenzin is and how he was raised and how he raised his kids. I think there's going to be, just like with any other culture, there's going to be variations. Not everybody's going to, not everyone's going to want to do the same thing. It's just the way the world works. Now, the action in this episode comes in the form of Jinora and Kai. We all know now that they're the new little young love interest they got going on. They go running off. Kai's a bad influence. Well, I shouldn't say a bad influence, but, he's kind of leading Jinora in that playful, young love way. And, they go visit some sky bison, some young ones, and they end up meeting up with their parents. And it looks like when they actually go back, Jinora and Kai both get captured by bison hunters. And I actually thought this was kind of dark. These guys, I guess the leader, they're all earthbenders, and the leader, he actually has like a bison robe on his back. So he means business. And for a second there, I actually started thinking, I was like, I wonder if he killed Appa. Just joking. But anyway, they end up kidnapping Kai and Jinora, and they end up locking them up, and they're going to get ready to take them all back to Ba Sing Se, because apparently, surprise, surprise, the Earth Queen is even more of a vindictive, evil, I'll not say it, but you know what I want to say. She pays top dollar for bison steak, so she's basically getting these guys to hunt down and essentially kill these bison for their meat. And, Jinora is able to spare it. She's not able to spare walk at that moment because she didn't have time to concentrate, but she is able to call upon the spirits to translate a message to Boomy, which gets them back in to come and catch them. So, a battle ensues. Jinora's ultimately freed. And one of the best scenes of this episode is actually when Kai makes the car crash, and he's like pissed. So, he goes after the bison hunter guy, and he's like knocking him against the car, knocking him up in the air. Like, he means business. And luckily, Tenzin steps in and kind of saves the day, and, gets also at the same time winking at Kai, telling him, hey, great job. Overall, I'm gonna rate episode 6 a solid 8 out of 10. I definitely enjoyed that episode more. I love how they wrapped up the whole Bayfon thing. I like how we got to finally see Toph. I'm hoping we get more of that. I kind of love that whole Lin Su situation. Episode 7, I'm going to give that one probably about a 7. Again, a very solid episode. No real big complaints. It was just a little bit slow from episode 6. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below, as always. Definitely thumbs up the video. It helps me get my word out there. I'm back. This is Showing Off the King, and you guys have a fantastic night.